I Don't Get It
Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the I Don't Get It podcast. How's it going out there?
Oh, wow. Somebody's chipper.
Chipper, chipper.
I think you're trying to be chipper just to overcompensate for your mellowness.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
I know you so well.
That is exactly what I'm doing. That's what you do, too.
I know.
You're like, all right, let's do it. Hey, guys.
Yeah, I know. Okay, Naz, how was your trip to London?
It was terrible.
I mean, you threw up the entire time.
Yeah.
Is there anything else to elaborate on except for the fact that, like, the Spider-Man cast loves you?
Oh my God,
you were
Tom
in one
Holland.
of his pictures?
Yeah, but I don't know. You know I'm always so hard on myself. I felt sick, so I didn't really feel great. Therefore, I left the trip feeling like, oh, I could have done so much better. But I was sick. So.
Were you sick due to something you ate?
No.
I was like severely dehydrated the week before where I was like throwing up. I had to get an IV to my house. And I don't know.
Did you have diarrhea?
No, I wish. You know, that's like the one thing I never get.
No,
I
you
never
don't
poop.
want diarrhea
Yes,
if you're
I do.
dehydrated.
I pray for diarrhea on
Ew.
some days. But I don't know. I think what it is like I never got on London time. I was extremely jet lagged. I feel like I'm not eating.
And Naz, is it because you went from the cruise to LA and then back?
Yeah, and I think it's because, you know, it's like I'm napping during the day. I'm trying to get a nap in here and there. I'm not really hungry when everyone else is eating, so I'm not really eating. So I think that all of that was just like, go fuck yourself, Naz.
Ah, yes.
But yeah. But
I have two. I don't get it.
What's your
now
I don't
that
get
you
it?
brought up eating?
thanks for asking, though.
So you know how Jared doesn't the passion for food isn't there and makes you really sad.
He's a robot.
He denies free food. This might be the
no.
ultimate. I don't get it.
Oh, no. Tell him.
How can you marry someone you can't go to Costco with?
Oh yeah, he would see the
just
the
kidding.
sample sale. The sample sale. He would see the sample stand.
Did you see Oscar Myers having a sample sale?
Now that is a sample sale.
Oscar Mayer.
How amazing if the food brands we love, if like Biscoff cookies and all them had sample sales and you could buy like cookies and hot dogs for like half the
Yes.
price.
That would be fun.
Why doesn't that exist?
I'm sure there are. It's called like Shoppers Food Warehouse in Northern Virginia.
I love that you know that.
You know, like the discount grocery stores. So he had the opportunity to go into one of those airline lounges, and I go, well, was there? Of course, my first question was he got to go into a lounge, and I've never been in one of those. I was like,
You've never been in a lounge?
no, no, not one of like the exclusive like airline lounges. And I go, so was there like food in there? Did you get like unlimited drinks? And he's like, yeah, there was food. There's like finger sandwiches and like cheese and crackers and meats and like there's like a whole spread. And I go, you're going to tell me that you didn't touch it, aren't you? He goes, yeah, I was just going to go eat on the plane.
Why would you eat on the plane over having the charcuterie in a lounge?
I don't understand.
They also have like cereal. I always eat Fruit Loops when I go on them.
It's just,
And-
if you
and
have
yogurt
the food in
bars.
front of you, I don't care what's waiting for you on the plane.
It tastes so much better when it's free. Also, airplane food is nasty.
Well, I mean, I was not going to say that he had first class, but
Well,
he
he
did
was
have
in the
first class.
fucking private thing,
oh,
so
well,
of course he did.
Ashley, that changes the whole story. Of course, if I'm eating first class, I'm not going to eat in the Fruit Loops in the lounge.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's
I would
just-
eat it all. I'd shove it all.
I just eat it all. That's what I mean too. It's like, oh, a free buffet, and then an hour later, I'm gonna get my lasagna on the plane. I'm gonna eat it all.
One day when we do have a live podcast, if that ever happens, because we've been prolonging it for so long, we should not even record. We should just be silent and do a weird Shia LaBeouf thing where we just all three eat and see who can eat the longest and the most.
Wait, what was
Is that
Shia
a
LaBeouf?
thing?
What do you mean? Is that like from like Holes, the movie?
No, because you know Shia LaBeouf's weird.
We thought we saw him at the Trading Post today.
Stop.
Yeah, so, like the guy at the lemonade stand was like, "There's Shia LaBeouf over there."
He is one where I would 1,000% be starstruck.
Oh well, my
He,
star
to,
starring
me,
moment
he
was,
to me is a star.
Yeah.
And a weirdo.
even though where's his career gone the past
What
couple
has he
years?
done besides
he's been putting on really
Transformers,
weird,
Disturbia.
weird, cool art.
Disturbia?
You guys, Jake Gyllenhaal. Oh, I have to tell
Oh
you
my
about
gosh!
that.
You have to
I'll tell you
us
about that another time.
We could have rambled today.
Yeah.
Oh well,
It doesn't matter. Keep
and
going.
I met Andrew Garfield, which
Yeah.
was my starstruck moment.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is
I'm
one
so
of my
proud
I
of
don't
you
get
for
it.
talking to him.
I know when I saw him, I was like, I didn't even allow myself to have the hesitation point. I was just like, I saw him. I was like, it registered in my head, and then
darted.
my legs started walking before my head did.
I'm so proud of you.
So yeah, it made me feel
Just
good.
newfound confidence.
That was great.
Before we move on, because it just comes out that week, I think everyone should actually go see Spider-Man Far From Home. I saw it twice, and it's so fucking good.
Let me just quick
I'll see it this
Is
week
Jake
on Rhode
Gyllenhaal
Island.
sexual in this? Is he hot?
Jake Gyllenhaal's hot in this. Yeah, he's always hot. But the thing is, I can't really disclose a lot about his character right now because in the comics, his character is a villain. But going into this movie, you don't really know what he is.
What's his name? What's the villain name?
Okay, so I actually asked him this exact question. The name of his character is Mysterio. And I said, how seamless is it, given all your past roles, that you've now finally been in a superhero movie and your character's name is Mysterio? Like, that's so perfect in my head.
Because he's so mysterious.
Are you kidding me? After, like, Velvet Buzzsaw and, like, Zodiac and, like, just literally Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler is so
freaking-
good.
I talked to him about Bubble Boy, you guys.
No way. That's
Wait,
yeah.
what
That's
is
my
that-
that was I.
What
used
was
to
that
think of,
other
too.
one? I'm sorry. What is that other Jake Gyllenhaal movie where he was the detective and it was so good?
Nightcrawler.
No.
I
don't know.
Oh, I know what you're talking
What-
about. Yes, about like the dead people in the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, the one with the one with Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Hold on.
I will not move on with this podcast till we figure this out.
Hugh Jackman. It's like very simple. It's like
It's so simple.
yeah.
It has nothing to do with the movie. It's like it's like one word.
I like know this because I've read it a bajillion times and I literally can't.
All right, here we go. Here it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. The movie is called Prisoners.
Prisoner.
Oh yes.
Okay, so
That movie's
I just
so
will
good.
always think of Prisoners and think about being dumped to the movie theater.
Wait,
Don't you remember?
you got dumped?
No, my big had told Lawrence Big that like he bailed on me that night, and he like told Lawrence Big why.
I don't remember.
Remember, he was like, "Oh yeah, I bailed on her last night," and then he like knew more, but didn't want to tell you because he didn't want to hurt my feelings or something.
Good times.
Didn't you remember?
could literally write a novel titled "Pop Culture Moments That Are Relevant to my personal life."
Yeah.
And you could be like, so moving on to Prisoners. Oh yes, this was the one where
This
my
was the
big
time.
and
Absolutely.
and Titanic was the first time I felt feeling.
Well, definitely.
And-
Yeah, definitely.
And I can't watch that fucking space movie with Sandra Bullock.
Oh yeah! Oh my god,
Gravity?
we both had really
With
bad
George
times.
Clooney.
Gravity.
Yeah.
Lauren and I were both in the theater.
We
This
knew we were
this
getting
is the
text-
thing that Lauren and I used to do. This is why we relate
Guys,
so much.
should we just ramble
No.
this? We have a structure.
Darn it,
No,
I
we have a
know, I
structure.
know.
We have callers. It's
Okay,
already
fine. So
done.
just finish this one statement. Lauren and I guess, used to be like, well, if we're not going to sit around and shit our pants around the apartment and shit our pants about when he's going to text us, or him text me, him text her.
Yeah.
Let's just go to a movie. And then we go to a movie to get out of the house, but then we
Genius.
just be like so tense the entire time and worrisome.
No, I feel like the movie takes your mind off. of it,
No,
you know?
sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it ruins movies for you.
We got to see Annabelle this week.
Yep, we're doing it.
All right. I don't think it's going to be scary,
In
guys.
Child's
but-
Play, just for the fuck
I
of
think
it.
it's gonna be great. Annabelle creation was incredible.
I
We
know,
were
I heard
obsessed
the
with it,
creation
You
Lauren.
didn't even see it.
You didn't even see it.
I didn't even
You didn't
see it.
see it.
Okay.
All right, what's our podcast
Our
about
podcast
today?
is about. On this episode of Horror Stories, we have Sorority Horror Stories.
That was really good. Adam, record that and play it back every time.
So we were thinking there must be some crazy shit that goes down in sororities, whether it's like during pledging or boy drama, girl drama, roommate drama. So we thought that we would ask you guys to send us in some stories. And we have 3 callers, and we're going to start with our first.
Wait, before you go in, I want to address because someone commented saying, well, you guys weren't in Greek life and you can't judge and blah, blah, blah. So I just want to preface this by saying I was in a fucking sorority.
And we're not shitting on sororities
And
by
I
any
think
means.
everyone should rush. It was the best 4 years of my life, even though the craziest shit ever went down. But just because Ashley and Lauren are GDIs,
Yeah, we're goddamn independent.
you're fucking G's.
They called that GDIs everywhere.
Anyone who wasn't a Greek, I was like, GDI.
Yeah, exactly.
that's what they called it at Penn State with Mora.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're very pro sorority life.
Yeah, we're
here.
poor sorority.
I mean, I'm part of a sorority called the Bachelor World.
There you
So
go.
it's
There
like,
you go.
I didn't
That's
have
a
to rush.
fraternity.
I had to go. Yeah, that's a frat.
All right.
All right, so we're going to give a first one a call, and she has a couple little things to mention about her.
These better be good, Lauren.
There always are.
I know they are always good. That roommate horror stories will never be beat.
The girl painted in blue has never left my head. Sometimes when I
See,
sleep alone, I think of her.
The waffle stopper.
The waffles.
That one.
All right, guys, I have to interrupt this riveting conversation real quick to tell you guys about one of our new sponsors that I absolutely love.
I love it too.
It's so good. It's called Billy. First of all, I love their logo and the colors in it. Is that so lame?
No, the colors are nice.
I can't get over the smoothness of the shave with the razor and
the shaving cream.
The shaving cream is so good.
Okay, so like Ashley said, it's a razor and a shaving cream. But just so you guys know, women's razors can cost up to 15% more than men's, which is so unfair. It's actually called the pink tax. But the idea that women should pay more for the same product is literally outrageous. So that's where Billy comes in. They're delivering premium razors directly to you guys for half the price. That's right. Put the other money in your pocket. Go to mybilly.com, and just so you guys know, it's spelled Billie to get their starter kit, which is what I have. So it includes 2 razor cartridges, a handle, and their magic magnetic holder for the shower. And for only $9, you guys can get 4 refill blades every 1, 2, or 3 months based on how often you shave. And what I love is that each razor cartridge includes 5 American-made blades encased in aloe shave soap for the smoothest shave that's gentle on sensitive skin. Just so you guys know, I use this shaving cream. You've heard Lauren and I talk about this before, how like I'm literally so lazy to buy shaving cream. Like, who buys shaving cream anymore?
I've never.
So I have just shaved for the past, 10 years with water and a razor, which is not good because it leaves my skin feeling really dry. And the Billy shaving cream leaves me feeling so smooth. And they're actually an Allure Best of Beauty winner and on Nylon's beauty hit list because Billy is the brand that finally got women's razors right, y'all. And they give free shipping always. You can skip, adjust, or cancel your subscription anytime. So to express a little love for our show, go to mybilly.com/getit. It's a small way that you guys can support me, Ashley, and Lauren while you're getting the best razor that you'll ever own for half the price of razors in the store.
And let me just add a little asterisk here. This is a real I don't get it favorite.
Oh, it is
Real,
real
like an Oprah favorite thing.
Yes.
I don't get its favorite thing.
Plus free shipping always. Go to mybilly.com/getit. Again, that's spelled MYBILLIE.com/getit.
Okay, guys, we have Anonymous on the line to tell us her sorority tale.
And I think it's smart that this person or anyone on this podcast remains anonymous because we don't want anyone to get their pins pulled.
And Naz, tell us, what is a pin?
So a pin is something that you require that basically represents that you have been inducted into a sorority and you are officially a sister of said chapter.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah, I actually...
I was like, can you tell me if that's right?
No, I'm no longer a member. I actually left after my first semester.
Oh, well, this story is going to be
because
juicy.
of this? All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
They don't like me.
So tell us your story.
Sure. So I went to a big state school in the Southeast. And when I first started rushing, I really wanted this one sorority. And I only really focused on that sorority. And then I found out that a member of the board or the president, her mother had beef with my mom and her friends when they were at college together in the 80s.
Yo, this is some Big Little Lie shit.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
this reminds me of a recent horror movie. What is that horror movie?
I don't know. Let her finish
Oh,
the
it was
story.
Ma. It was
the one
Ma,
with Octavia
Lauren.
Spencer.
Oh, Ma, with Octavia
Yeah.
Spencer.
Yeah. Because I guess our community's small in my hometown. And my mom's friend wrote the letter of recommendation, so they knew the name. So I kind of had to recalibrate and ended up at not really my next choice, but I feel like at a fit the person I was trying to be. So everyone was very blonde. It wasn't especially diverse. It was mostly just blonde, upper middle class girls, very preppy. And the first big glaring thing after all of the pretense of, oh my God, here's your big and welcome, we love you so much, faded. We ate all the meals at the house. And I started to notice that at all the meals, the girls I sat with would get like hamburgers or spaghetti and meatballs, and I would get the vegetarian options. And so I thought it was a mistake. So I went to one of the girls on the board who was in charge of coordinating that stuff and told her, because I thought I was actually paying more because the vegetarian option was more. And she said, no, we're doing you a favor. We're just going to help you out a little bit. So the way it was set up is everything was cooked in-house. And you'd like swipe your card and they'd give you a plate. And So I thought it was a mistake, and I was always a little curvier than the other girls in my pledge class. It's just the way I'm built. I didn't think it was a problem. But there's kind of the insinuation, and it was explicitly said, like, oh, you know, these meals are a little, like, less calorie dense. You know,
No way. Shut the fuck up.
And I was 18 and stupid, and I was like, oh, well, maybe they are trying to help me, and I didn't fight it. But eventually I kind of started to rebel a little bit. I wanted to dye my hair. And when I talked to my big, she said, well, you know, you can't really go with that color, but you can go to any of these salons, and the girls there will give you options that you can choose from.
So weird.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. I just need to stop you right here. Going into this podcast, I was like, "There's no way anyone's gonna share a story that I'm gonna think that's gonna blow me out of the water just because of the shit that I experienced." This shit's fucking blowing me out of the water.
The hair color doesn't shock me though.
Is it shocking?
This is shocking. That's crazy. You can't tell people what color to dye their hair and to lose weight.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Oh no, the meal plan is insane. I thought that like the hair color thing is actually something that you guys would say no to.
I think I mean, I don't want to speak to my sorority too much either, but I could see people during recruitment, you know, like saying, get your nails done or look very polished, you know. So that's probably the fullest extent I've ever experienced something like that.
What color did you want to dye your hair?
That's crazy to say you can't dye your hair.
When I tell you, I think you'll understand.
No.
I wanted to go pink.
Yeah.
That
makes
pink
sense
is
to me.
feminine and pretty.
Yeah. I mean, I did it eventually, and it looked really good. So.
Okay, but still, the meal plan is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucked. 18-year-old me was... I feel so bad for her now.
Aw. Damn.
Well, you know, you have a version of yourself, and you see girls who look like they're so happy and perfect, and you think, I can do that if I act right.
It's so
No,
true.
for sure.
I'm so happy you got out of there. So what happened?
Oh yeah. How'd that end?
So a lot of it was affordability. We weren't allowed to repeat outfits with like every month. So I had to keep constantly buying new clothes for events and then dues. Which kind of got me up into $250, like $2,500 a semester.
Damn.
2,500 a semester. Okay, yeah.
With dues and with new clothes and like paying in for parties and stuff like that.
Okay, and that's like all your food, your vegetarian food included, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you live in the house?
No, I was 2 freshmen for that.
Okay.
Okay. You mentioned in your. Oh, I'm so sorry. You can continue.
no, go ahead.
I'm sorry. You mentioned in your email that there were other sororities that would do like the jiggle test on the dryer.
Yeah, so I've only heard this. It's like a very, very strong rumor that a certain house I put in the email, which is like the prettiest of the prettiest, like thinnest of the thinnest, they would circle areas that jiggled if you sat on a washing machine.
That was a rumor at my school too. So I kind of feel like it's like an urban legend. I mean, I can only hope and pray.
I mean, but let's be real. Guys love a jiggle.
Actually, yes.
It's true.
That's what they live for.
But the urban legend goes is that during, right? Like you would sit girls down on a dryer and whatever part that jiggled, they would circle with the permanent marker.
Yeah, I mean, that's demoralizing and gross.
Well, I mean, that's,
obviously.
And also illegal and terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. So how'd you end up leaving? The money?
That, and also I got drunk over winter break and pierced my nose. And my big was kind of like, yeah, that's not really what we're looking for, our aesthetic. Like, would you be willing to take it out? And I was like, no. And it would have been fine, but I think my tone and their tone, it just didn't mesh, and it got kind of antagonistic, and I just kind of realized that wasn't who I was meant to be, and I should save the money and cut and run.
What happened with your moms, though? Like, what was the end of that?
With my moms?
The moms.
Like the mom feud.
Oh, yeah. So I think my mom stole someone's boyfriend.
Bottom line.
But how did that affect you rushing, is what I meant, or being in the sorority?
Yeah, so my community, my religious community is really tight. Everyone knows each other. And my mom's best friend wrote my letter of recommendation for that sorority since she was in that sorority at another school. And then I guess they were probably background checking all the letters to make sure that they were actual members. And it must have just like been pulled on mutual friends. And she was like, oh, Mom, why are you mutual friends with this person? Do you know her? And it must have gotten brought up. At least that's what I've heard secondhand.
Okay. Do you think that your treatment in the sorority was based on your mom stealing a boyfriend?
Oh, well, that was the sorority that wouldn't let me in. The blackballed
they
me.
didn't let you in.
Okay, I'm sorry. I misunderstood
Okay,
that.
sorry.
So you
Yeah.
like actually didn't even get in a sorority because of someone else's mom.
Which I feel also isn't beneath any of it. Is it because it is so
No,
like...
it's with sisterhoody. So it's like, we wouldn't let a...
What's it called again when like your mom...
nepotism?
No. There's a
legacy.
term.
A legacy?
A legacy, thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Legacies have actually like... That's a whole other thing. Like if you're a legacy, if your mom was in that chapter or in that chapter somewhere else.
Normally you would get in.
It's like... It's been said or rumored that it's like easier to get in or it's kind of like a shoe-in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, some people are just GDIs, as I've learned. And you're a GDI.
No
at
one in
heart.
this world is more of a GDI than Lauren.
Yeah, I'm a GDI too, right there with you. Did you go to a different sorority, or you were a GDI for the rest of your life?
Just a GDI. It was hard because I was too...
I love it. All right, thank you.
I was too alternative for the sororities and too preppy for the academic fraternities. So I just kind of do my own thing.
Good for you. You got out of a
you.
bad situation. Who cares what it is?
Yeah.
It makes me sad,
really-
though. Damn.
All right,
It's
thank
fine.
you so much.
Thank you. This has been great, guys. I love the
Awesome.
podcast.
Thank you.
We love you.
Bye.
Bye.
This is the first time that the word big in this podcast is
Yeah.
being used in a different
She goes,
context.
my big
I
said,
know,
I was
my
like,
big.
oh my God.
Should we,
what about
should we
him?
go over that for people that don't know? So, like, when you join a sorority, an older sister becomes your big sister, and they are your big, and they kind of like mentor you and are kind of like your go-to for any issues, like in life, in college, in the sorority in general.
I think that's very comforting and nice to have.
Some people end up being like really best friends with
I
their
was gonna
big.
say, what happens if you
friends
don't
for
mesh?
life, and then some people kind of like lose touch, and it's just like, all right, well, yeah, you were my big in college, and that was it.
Okay, so
But that's a whole thing too, because bigs kind of like when it's time to pick a big, and you're
you
like a
pick
freshman,
big?
yeah, like you pick one, but
Oh,
sometimes.
wow.
Like, let's say you and Lauren
You
wanted
fight
to be
over
my
them.
big. Yeah. Like, you would be coming up to me and be like, I really feel like I'd be a good big to you. And you'd be coming up to me and be like,
you're getting courted.
I remember, that was a really hard decision for me, actually. I remember crying because I couldn't pick between these, like, two girls.
That's really sad.
I know, isn't it
You
crazy
are like
thinking
dating
about
another
it?
girl.
It's so crazy. But, like, you're not like,
courting,
you're not even
in a way.
tied to them, like, physically. It's like, who cares?
Well, it's like I can see it taking personal offense.
Yeah,
to it.
I
totally.
think you you take things too personally
Me?
to be in a sorority. Maybe I don't know.
Oh,
Ashley?
Yeah.
No, Ashley could have been in a sorority. The thing that I think the biggest misconception with sororities is people look at what they see in movies and on TV, and they assume that every sorority at every school is like that.
Yeah.
And every college is different, and every sorority is different. So it's such a unique, specific, case-by-case experience.
I used to always be like, I could never live in a house of girls. I wouldn't want to like have that much drama and like fighting over guys, and just like I don't know that I can ever be around a social group that much and like so consistently. And then when I was on in the Bachelor house, I was like, wait, is this what like a sorority is? That's so much fun. I love this sense of community.
That's exactly what it is. Who was remind me of the girl's name that was with Jake Pavelka?
Vienna,
yes. Vienna was in the sorority house next to mine.
A
couple years older.
She's older.
Yeah, she's a couple years older, but she was a part of the sorority next to my house. And that's the reason why I got into The Bachelor. Because
everyone
we
was
all started watching because we were
No
like, how
way.
far is this girl going to go? Our entire college was like in on it.
That's so
and then when she
cool.
made it to the
Fun.
end and the drama, it was like
Yeah.
all anyone would like talk about. It was
It's so
crazy.
good.
Anyway,
Her crying. Let me finish my sentence. Or what was it? It was like you always interrupt me.
you're mean to me. Oh my God,
So true, he
iconic.
was.
Stop interrupting me.
Oh, there
That's
you
what
go.
he
Yeah,
said,
he was mean to her.
Okay, we have our next caller. I'm going to say anonymous until we give her a call and find out what she wants from us. Okay,
I think like we should just assume that they're all anonymous.
okay, this one's my favorite one, by the way.
Oh.
1 second. All right, we have Lauren on the line. Lauren, yours sounds just so nuts. So please tell us your story.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for having me. And I would hate myself if I didn't pump your tires for a second.
Pump them.
I just have to say, thank you so much for doing this podcast. I've been with you guys since the beginning, and this podcast just really made me a podcast person. And I just love that you guys aren't so PC and that you just kind of say how you really feel. And I was ghosted from a long-term relationship, and so Ghostbusters super helped me. And I
A long-term relationship? Why didn't we bust your
him.
Ghost?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I would totally do it, but I don't think that he would be down to call in. Otherwise I totally would.
We'll track him down for you if you want. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Thank you so much for saying all
so
that.
nice.
It means a lot to
Thank you.
Of course. I also have to just tell Ashley that I am so excited and living for your wedding. And the fact that you said that people aren't happy for you is just insane because we've been all waiting for this for years, and I just really can't wait to follow along. So
You're so cute. Thank you so much. I'm really starting to get excited now because we've gotten the RSVPs in, and now I know that the most important people are going to be there. I just think that it's really stressful when you're I'm planning a party and I don't even know who's going to attend. And now I feel I could be at peace because the group of people that I really need there are going to be there.
That was such a beautiful thing to say.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I know when I texted everyone a couple days ago because we had. This is a whole other podcast. We could do a whole podcast on what wedding planning was that I didn't expect.
Yeah,
we should do that now.
Let her tell her.
But anyway, it's your turn, Lauren, to tell your story. And thank you just
I'll
so
be the
much for
first
the
one to
nice
listen.
comments.
Yes, absolutely. So I went to a really big school where Greek life was a major part of the experience. And the first 2 years were awesome. I was really socially focused. I went to the bars a lot. I did the whole Big Little thing. I moved into the house and did all that.
Will you tell us where you went and what you were in or no?
No, I probably shouldn't.
Okay,
since I did remain anonymous.
I was just making sure.
No, but I mean, I did go to a big school where it's kind of, I guess, known for Greek life, if that helps.
Okay.
So I did recruitment the first year, which is basically a horror story in itself. But I made a lot of good friends who are still my best friends to this day, and a couple of them are listening. So hey to those friends.
Aw, thanks for getting them to listen.
Hello, fellow former sisters.
Yes. And so after my sophomore year, my focus just really changed. I was just interested in focusing on working, getting internships, and really just trying to hustle. So I took an unpaid internship and was working as a server on the side. And my sorority does recruitment before school starts, so that would have interfered with my internship. And then if you skip recruitment without being excused, you literally get fined $1,000. And so I was getting my ass excused. There was no way. And basically the sorority mandated that the only excuses that were I guess allowed that year were if you had an internship that had to do with your major, you had to provide proof that you had attempted to request off for 3 weeks, and then proof that your boss said no. They were also requiring that some girls come into the house after their internship to help with songs, arts and crafts, and really anything else. It was kind of ridiculous.
Okay. So you guys have all seen Fat Jewish's meme, right? When he's
yes.
sorority recruitment's terrifying, and they open the doors and they're
oh yeah,
yes.
That
shit
so
is semi-terrifying. I digress, though.
No, for sure. But I was sure as shit not about to be unprofessional and ask my boss off for 3 weeks of my summer internship. So I definitely faked the proof and went along my merry way. So fast forward to recruitment, and I was working at the restaurant on a day that I wasn't at my internship. And these 3 girls from my pledge class came in, and on one of their work week breaks, I sat them at their table, and I said hello, and they definitely gave me the bitchiest hey ever. It was so rude. Which I thought was weird because I knew them, but and they definitely knew me, but I just kind of let it go and just kind of went about my day. Until a few days later, my boss from the restaurant called me into the office. They had filled out one of those survey receipts, trashing me.
No way.
Holy shit, this took a turn.
This is when you're already in the sorority, and these are girls that are
this is my third year in the sorority.
And
I
just
know these girls well.
I also want to just add for people that were never in a sorority, your pledge class is the class that you go into the sorority with, or the girls that it's kind of you know, your grade. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And we had like definitely a larger, like I went to a bigger school, so it was like a larger pledge class, but like these girls definitely like knew who I was, and I had like spoken to them like many of times. And so my boss like called me into the office and was like, so what's the deal with this like survey? And I was like so embarrassed because I had to explain like all the rules of like sorority world and share that like I don't know, that I was like, there was recruitment going on and that's why they were mad because I wasn't there. And like, I forgot about that whole part of the story until I wrote that email because I had like secondhand embarrassment like for myself.
Oh,
it was so bad.
So did he understand? He or she understand?
Yeah, they were like, whatever. They couldn't have cared less. And so then after that, they also turned me into standards, which for those like who aren't in a sorority, it's basically, I think I described it as like the Judge Judy, or like where you go if you get in trouble or like drink too much at a party. They like wrote a letter saying that I was embarrassing and that they couldn't believe I was like working during this special time and like caused a big stir. Yeah.
Working during this special time.
Ew.
Yeah, it was so bad. And then like the standards chair is one of my closest friends in the chapter, and she like obviously told me the whole thing. And I never got in trouble with the sorority because I had been excused, but I think that made these girls like a little bit more upset with me. And so they like continued to talk about me to the rest of the chapter, and like word got around to me, and I was finally like, how in the fuck am I supposed to pay like thousands of dollars if I don't work? Mm-hmm. And like a lot of the talk they were saying was like, you know, her family doesn't care enough about her to pay for this sorority, which is such bullshit.
Oh my God.
It was so bad.
Nice.
And then, like, I will say, too, that I was really lucky and my parents were willing and able to pay for my college and my sorority, but, like, it really wasn't their place to say that.
No, I paid for my own sorority. I, like, took out loans and, like, I paid for my whole college.
Good for you. That's, like, amazing. Yeah. But yeah, so basically they like trashed me only because I had a job, and like my sorority definitely had the reputation for being involved in like volunteering and like studying abroad, was like really praised. But I guess like almost no one I knew like had a part-time job for the most part.
So didn't like the image that you were portraying by being a waitress?
Wow.
Yeah, basically. I think so. And then it was kind of like safe to say that like after that, and there was another like thing that happened where I had like a bunch of spring break money like stolen out of my wallet, and I just like had to get out of the sorority. Like I couldn't do it anymore.
Jesus.
So
yeah.
So you got out of the sorority.
Yeah. So my senior year, I decided to drop because I like really had only joined to make friends, and I had made, you know, a really tight group of friends, and I knew that they'd like be my friends whether I was in the sorority or not, which definitely stood true.
Oh,
that's so
nice.
sad you made it to senior year and then dropped. Like that's crazy.
Is it frowned upon to drop?
Yeah, totally. Like even the other day, like I saw like some people in public, like they're kind of friendly, but you can just kind of tell, you know, when someone's like, oh, awkward, you know, but I mean, I really just joined to make friends and like meet new people and have like the like Greek experience, which I still feel like I got. So it was fine.
Right.
Naz, I had a question for you though.
Yeah.
Because I know you were in a sorority.
Yeah.
And like you're such a hustler and everything. Like, how did you like manage that with your sorority? Did people like give you shit for it?
Well, what I was just telling Ashley and Lauren, even before we started recording, that the sad thing about sororities is it's such a case by case. You know what I mean? Like so specific to where you rush and what sorority you're in. And I had such an amazing experience that it makes me sad when people didn't. People were like so understanding that I like paid for a lot of girls in my sorority actually took out loans to like be in that sorority. So that was like, you know what I mean? That was never a thing for me.
And you had internships and stuff?
I always like to be involved, but I chose my senior year to be less involved so that because I was like, well, I know I'm going to graduate. Like I really need to put all in my internships. So that's kind of what happened in my situation.
You were like working for like the local news stuff.
Yeah. I did like an internship every semester my last year.
Wow. Well, it sounds like you just got a really shitty sorority over there.
Yeah.
Yes and no. Like part of it was so fun, and like I can't imagine like if I didn't do it. But I'm just like, I got out when I needed to get out, and it was like all fine. But when I saw your email, I was like, oh, or like on the Facebook group, I was like, oh my gosh, I have a story for you.
Oh
yeah, that's
I'm
crazy.
So glad you called.
I do want to note though, because you know how you said you have friends in your sorority, so it's like when people rush, they assume that you're going to be best friends with all 50 or 70 people in your pledge class, and that's just not realistic. It's just like Bachelor, Ashley. You know what I mean? It's like you have your couple friends, and that's your experience. It's not like you're best friends with everyone. There could be someone that you're even like, I would never be actual friends with that person. So,
Totally.
Yeah.
And with like 300 people, there's bound to be people that you like and don't like. And I definitely had like my group of people, but I will say that like my friend group was definitely not like the main group in the sorority. And there's a ton of sororities on my campus. And so like, I think a lot of people could have been in like 3 or 4 different sororities. So that makes sense too. Like it wasn't like, oh, she's so this, like that's totally where they belong. Like it's totally like an eclectic group of people.
Yeah.
right.
So while I have you on the phone, when I was younger, I never wanted to be in a sorority because I was always so scared of like the rushing. What is it called?
The
Recruitment.
hazing.
Hazing.
Oh, hazing.
Yeah, because like whenever I would see a movie or hear
Which
about
is
sororities and
illegal.
fraternities, that's what you would hear about hazing. And is it like still a thing? Do you guys know? Like
Again, very specific to like where you are. I mean, I can't speak for the South. It's so weird because I went to school in Florida, and Florida's considered
Florida's
not
a little
the South.
different, yeah.
But I feel like there are probably, of course, you hear about it in the news all the time. But I remember when I
like
joined
rumors.
UCF, the year I joined, there was a fraternity that got kicked off campus because someone was hazed and like something really bad happened.
Oh, no.
What was crazy
Yeah.
is I think you remember that movie Sydney White with
Yeah.
Amanda Bynes?
Yeah.
I think it was like
Oh my gosh, I
shot.
live for that movie.
I think it was shot in that house, which is like no longer there.
Oh.
I think.
I
No one
remember-
quote me on that. I gotta look that up.
I remember being younger and hearing like that the girls had to like parade around naked in the house. And I was like, yep, never going to show my naked body
I don't think
to
they
a
do
group
that.
of girls.
No,
But yeah.
that was not a thing in
No.
my sorority.
I'll
That was
always
that a
say,
thing for
too-
you, Liz?
No, I mean, like, I definitely think that.
Oh,
that's
sorry,
okay.
Lauren.
No, that's fine. Definitely, I think that sororities and frats are very different too. Like, they have just like a lot of different rules, and I've definitely heard of that happening with like frats, but definitely like my sorority was very big, and they took the rules very seriously. At like no hazing, like we can't ask anyone to do anything, and like they made such a big deal about not hazing, and so I was like super glad because. Like, I really only rushed because, like, I wanted to make friends, and it was, like, a big deal at my school. Whereas, like, if I would have went to a different school, I'm not sure that I would have rushed. And so I was also, like, super nervous about that. But, no, I was really lucky that I didn't have, like, any hazing at all.
That's good.
Yeah, that is good.
It's so crazy.
I mean, we shouldn't like expect.
I don't know.
Right,
I
right,
did
right,
expect it. I
yeah.
thought that's
But
what it
that's
all
fraternities
was.
But that's what I really want people that aren't in sororities and fraternities to really take home from this podcast is it's not, yes, there are some crazy places that are like the movies that we'll probably hear on this podcast, but the majority are not like the movies, you know?
Yeah.
No, they're totally not.
Always felt like rushing was basically just another word for hazing.
Damn, that's crazy.
All right.
Yeah, it was like job interviews.
Oh yeah, that sounds,
Yeah. Rushing is the process of like applying in to be in a sorority.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's
there-
what was explained to us before about like how you pick your sorority and how they pick you, and that was very interesting.
yeah, like recruitment week. How is it for you, Lauren? Like, because at my school, you would go to every sorority house for a week, or the week was basically like a 3-day or 4-day week. And then on the last day, it was bid day.
Yeah, it was kind of similar for me. I didn't know anything about Greek life. And so like I filled out like an application and I never even thought that anyone would like look at it. But so I guess that like the houses, like they kind of like look at you and they like pair you up with someone to talk to. And so I went around to houses, I guess, for like a week. And like I went to every house and talked to the girls, and they basically like narrow it down. So you'd have like less and less houses every day until like on the last day, I think I had 3 houses that I went to, and then like I preference them, and then they preference me, and then like Panhellenic, which is like the governing body, like matches you kind of. So it's like you kind of have a say.
governing body.
Yeah,
Wait, what does that mean?
Panhellenic is the governing body of all the houses on campus.
They pair you because they know who
Who's gonna be
approved
good with
you and
you?
who you I like.
In my school, I feel like the sororities and fraternities make a list, and then you make a list,
Yeah.
and then it's kind of that's how it goes.
And then
Yeah,
you
it's like a little bit of both.
send in
It's like a
your
little
application
random.
type thing.
Like you literally put down number 1, I want this
okay.
house, and then number 2, you rank. It's like a ranking system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I didn't know that like the houses like beforehand too, like they like extensively creep on you. Like they know your GPA, they know what your social media looks like so they have all this other information too that like I didn't know that they had like going into recruitment. And so I would take it like so personally when houses didn't want me, because I'd be like, oh my God, I had like such a great conversation with that girl, but like it could be about so much more that I don't even know.
It's like
And a
they
lot
look
of
at your
it's numbers.
Instagram. They're like, we didn't like that dress you wore, so bye.
Thank God I rushed before Instagram was a thing.
I was going to say,
can
that
you
must have changed
imagine?
it so much.
Oh, girls must be torn apart with their
Because
Instagram.
think about it now. It's like if someone's rushing, they totally are going to look at your
They're like,
Instagram.
she's friends with so and so who's tagged in this photo. Oh my god, it's a nightmare. Anyway, thank you, Lauren.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Before you go, because you're so great, I want to keep you on for one more question.
Yeah, of course.
You know how there's like the Jewish fraternity and then there'll be like the blonde bubbly fraternity? Like, will they really reject like a Jewish brunette? Like the blonde bubbly one? Like the Elle Woods sorority?
I mean, like, I think yes and no. I mean, like, I think that, some schools are different than others. Like, I would say that at my school I went to, like, the sororities were too big to, like, necessarily have, like, all of one type of girl. But they kind of do at the same time. Like, the sorority I was in was definitely known for being, like, kind of eclectic. And then there was definitely, like, a house that was, like, everyone in that house was, like, valedictorian and is, like, going to medical school. And then there was, like, another house where it was, like, they were the party house. But it's definitely more of a vibe. And I would say that there's probably, like, exceptions to each rule for each house.
Yeah. All right. Thank
great.
you.
Good
Good
response.
answer.
All
All
right.
right.
Thank you,
Thank
Lauren.
you so much.
Lauren, thank
you guys so much.
Sorry
I appreciate
about what
it.
you went through. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh, no, it's okay. It's like, it's funny now. It's like being removed from it. It's like kind of something I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when that happened. But like back in the day, I was like, this is so awful. Everyone,
That's
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Yep. Thanks. Have a good time.
Bye.
Well, we had another caller lined up, but she is not answering. So I'm going to go ahead and read another story. And this one I thought was pretty interesting. I'm going to remain anonymous because she didn't say otherwise. So she goes, so there was a day when we weren't allowed to speak. And on that day, a sister told me she was going to take a guy that I had been hooking up with before I started pledging.
This is the girl that's not calling?
No, this is another girl.
Oh, okay, good. Because I was like, we should be calling this girl.
And then in parentheses, we weren't allowed to be with any guys during our pledge period.
Okay.
So she knew that I still liked him, but just couldn't be with him. She also demanded that I drive them and then pick them up as well in her car. So I couldn't even answer her because she wasn't allowed to speak, remember? Mm-hmm. So I couldn't even speak. Not that I would have anyway in fear that she would haze the crap out of me. So fast forward to the night of the party, I picked the two of them up. She proceeds to start kissing him in the back seat. He was hammered, and all the while kept looking at me in the rearview mirror with a smirk on her face. The whole time I was driving, I kept thinking I could drive these bitches' car off the bridge. But I held it together and ended up loving being in my sorority once I got past it.
Like, your life is in her hands.
Yeah, I know.
You really
so she
are
was just
trusting
making
her?
out with this dude that she was also hooking up with in the back seat, smiling at her. Like, creepy.
That is creepy.
Horrifying.
There's another girl that sent in a very long email with like multiple stories. They're just small anecdotes, so I'll just share them.
Yeah.
So you guys know about house moms, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the weirdest things ever.
Every sorority.
Do you want to explain what they are?
Yeah, so every sorority has a house mom, and normally they're, probably like an elderly woman who isn't doing much that chooses to live in the house and handles, like all the logistics of the house, like hiring the chef and like rent and making sure that the cable's paid for and that basically all the girls living in the house aren't like running amok and like burning it down.
They're usually elderly?
Well, in my case, they were. I guess they don't. They definitely don't have to be. Every sorority at my school, I feel like they were kind of
elderly was probably like 50.
No. Well, what do you guys consider elderly?
I think it's past 65.
70, yeah, 65.
I think it's past 60. Is it not past 60?
I think 60.
I'd say 65.
When do you get the senior discount at the movie theaters?
That's
my mom,
early.
my
You
mom
got
gets
like
it now.
55.
Yeah.
You get the senior
Okay, so
discount, but
you're a
that's-
senior citizen, and my mom's so
No,
happy
I don't
about
think you're
it.
technically
Yeah, my
senior
mom-
citizen.
I'm like,
until
Mom,
65.
can you like stop being so loud about it? She's like, I love my senior
No,
discount.
Mom and Dad do like the senior discounts at the movies, but
Yo, it's
senior
so funny.
citizen.
That's what we have to look
age.
forward to.
Okay. Continue with your house moms.
65.
Oh, okay. You guys were so smart. So my house mom, her name was Mama Linda. Shout out to her because she was one of my best friends. But this girl writes in, my house mom was evil. Like would write us these really random aggressive posts in our Facebook group, would threaten to have us kicked out for things like forgetting to take our clothes out of the dryer, and would lie and gossip about the girls in the house to the out-of-house girls and other sorority house moms.
Uh-oh.
So one time my roommate threw up and drunkenly vacuumed her vomit and peed herself. And the house mom told everyone, and I mean everyone, about it. This is after my roommate approached her with the truth, offered to buy a new vacuum, asked for help. My roommate is my best friend who was going through it at the time. Her mom was super sick. Her dad was living in poverty. Aww. She had no money, worked 2 jobs, severe dental problems, and no health insurance. And girls in other sororities knew all about it because of the mom.
That's
humiliating.
So sad.
Then she writes, our chef, which is also hilarious because I was like such good friends with our chefs. Our chef got into a fight after we had the soccer team over for a formal dinner, which he agreed to. The fight started with him throwing dirty pans at my big and ended with him threatening to burn our house down. What the fuck?
That sounds hilarious.
We had to have a police patrol our house at night, and we had to change all of our locks. Oh my God, that's terrifying.
Oh, just kidding. That's
she
scary.
said, this story's super crazy, and I genuinely fear for my life. Okay, I'm sorry I laughed at that. That's crazy.
Okay.
Then she says, hold on, there's a couple more. Oh. One more. The president was dating the recruitment chair. So does that mean the 2 girls? And they were roommates. So I'm sure you can imagine what was going on there. Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure she was referring to a fraternity. Another girl would have sex in the common room at like 8 a.m. when we were awake and eating breakfast. And another one would sneak her boyfriend out every day at around 6 a.m. I only found out because I was painting my cooler in the back staircase and they ran right into me. I love that she was painting her
What
cooler.
does painting your cooler mean?
No, that she's literally just painting a cooler. Like, that sounds like something I'd be doing. That's definitely me.
That's just like a cooler.
Yeah.
That's funny.
She's decorating her cooler.
She said,
so specific.
I do want to say, despite the awful experience, I would never give it up for anything. I really did meet all of my closest friends there, and I wouldn't trade the good times I've had with them to avoid the bad times. I have more stories. These people are crazy. Love the podcast.
So let's go back to house moms, because the only house mom I ever met or saw was Lizzie's. You know, she was living in... I just think it's sad. Is that bad for me to say?
I don't, because imagine,
No.
let's say like they're
Say you
widowed,
don't live
there, right?
you don't have kids, or you never got married, then you're surrounded by like 4
You're
girls.
taking care of these nice
Yeah,
chicks.
you're taking care of them and they love you, hopefully, best case scenario, and like you're friends with them. Like I would always sit and I would watch the news with Mom. I was such a loser.
It just reminds me, I think it would be like a constant reminder that I was like
Old.
the the old maid. Like I'm like the old maid of a sorority
Yeah,
house.
I mean, I understand.
No,
I think
I
what
They
think
live
it's
in a
fun.
dorm, basically. That's what makes me sad
What?
too.
These houses are mansions, Ashley. I don't know what you're saying. It's not a dorm. They live in like really nice, and they like eat for free, and they get paid.
Yeah, they get paid. They get paid.
All they have to do
Yeah.
is like live their life, and then every now and then check and make sure like.
I think I would be a house mom.
You know how like the house moms aren't even allowed in like the chapter meetings. You know, chapter was every Sunday, which is a big meeting.
But they aren't they,
So they-
a past sorority member? Like they're a
no,
mom?
not necessarily.
Oh,
not
I
of
thought Lizzie's was somebody who was once in the sorority.
That could
Or
be the
is
case,
still
but sometimes house moms are of a different sorority, so they aren't even allowed in meetings, which to me means even less responsibility.
Yeah, you just take care of the house, kind of.
Yeah. I mean, there's way more to it, but
Yeah.
See, if you're like 30 and you were like, oh, you know, like these girls can relate to me, I could be like an older mentor, like that would make a little bit more sense.
to me, I feel opposite. I feel like if you're older, it's like it's like the old guys I see bagging groceries at Publix when I go home. I'm like so happy for them. I'm like,
you
they're
are
probably
happy
so
for them?
Yeah, I'm like, they're so happy they're doing something. Or like
See,
the
our grandpa
school
used to do that,
crossing
actually.
guards. Yeah. Don't you guys think that they love it?
Yeah.
I don't know. You know
I
that
think
guy at the
so.
Grove that does at the movie theater? I just
Yeah.
hope and pray that he's retired and doesn't need that money. That's what I think when I see him.
Oh, so you think of more of like their financial situation?
Yeah.
Well, of course, everyone needs money. I mean, we could do a whole senior citizen podcast, but to me, what I've always found odd about when I was little, I went to Dominican Republic every year, so like I would always compare, this country and like Dominican Republic, and I feel like. You guys don't do this. First of all, Bubby looks incredible. She's 96, and you guys love your grandma. But I always found it weird that in American culture, I feel like people forget about their grandparents and like throw them in like a home. And like in my culture, they're like the Don, and the kings and
like
queens of the family.
people usually put them in. I hope that people just put them in homes when they are getting a little like Alzheimer's. And
Yeah.
you know?
I guess what I mean is like when I see them doing stuff, I'm like, oh, I feel like that makes them feel better. It makes them feel
I
like they
hope
still have
so.
value to society.
Right.
Because we shouldn't be like, oh, they shouldn't even be working. They
Yeah.
should just be sitting in a rocking chair.
I mean,
Right.
Grandpa definitely worked at the grocery store because
he couldn't just sit.
Wanted to.
Yeah.
He wanted to work a
I
little
think
bit
that's
during the day
great.
and like interact with people, which I think is great too. I guess I always just think that like I'm sad if they have to continue working through their retirement years. That's what makes me sad.
I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Can we do an elderly podcast and have them like invoke wisdom on our younger
that would be
years?
cute.
That'd be cute. What if we got Bubby on here and she would be so confused as to what was happening, but she could just talk?
She wouldn't know that
I don't
she's
think
being
she'd like
recorded.
it.
No?
No.
No, we wouldn't tell her. It's like, just talking to this.
I
Just
think
tell me a
that's
story.
illegal.
Yeah, you're right.
Anyways, okay, well, clearly, I have to say, I feel like I've seen and heard of a lot crazier stories than what we heard
Right.
today.
I think maybe some people are scared to share their
I
tale.
was just going to say, I think what we've learned with attempting to put this podcast together, which was still great, I think. Hopefully it answered some questions if you didn't go Greek. But I think what I'm learning is like, yeah, it is hard to like really open up and like share stories because you don't want to get in trouble.
Okay. Well, guys, and since one of our callers canceled, we have 10 more minutes to talk about other random things. So we're just gonna do that if you don't mind.
Oh, I don't get iced coffee in the morning.
What?
I
find it very
it.
refreshing.
Don't you want
But
something
it
hot?
bloats me more.
Were you guys outside today? It is hot. It is officially summer. It was hot.
Yeah, it's hot as
fuck.
shit.
How could you even order a hot coffee on a day like
No,
today?
you don't order
in
a
the
hot coffee
morning?
because we sit on the couch and drink
No.
it in the morning when we wake
When
up.
I
in
go
the
to
air
school,
conditioning.
would never order a iced coffee for the morning. I need something warm.
Jared's the same way. Jared does iced coffee in the afternoon, hot coffee in the morning always.
That's funny.
Iced coffee afternoon. Anyway.
I have a
Actually,
coffee
I don't
every
like
morning, but it depends like the mood I'm in and where I'm at on whether or not I get hot or ice. Actually, that's one of the hardest things I decide every day. I'm like, I don't know. Is this gonna melt? Like, is it gonna
True.
burn my
Gotta weigh your
tongue?
options.
Is this gonna make me poop? Which one's gonna make me poop more?
Oh, hot always makes you go more.
Sometimes,
Right?
well, it depends. Like airplane hot coffee does not make me poop at
Airplane.
all.
Apparently, you're not supposed to drink airplane coffee because they use like really dirty water to make it.
Yeah, they don't clean anything. Ew.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew, David.
I feel like I recently noticed this about myself. Iced coffee energizes me in the morning. It's like a wake up because it goes like through that.
You can drink it
cold
real
goes,
fast.
like through you, and you like kind of wake up just by the coldness. But iced coffee in the middle of the day makes me really bloated and actually makes me feel yucky.
It makes me. I just don't like it.
Coffee makes me bloated no matter what it is.
Really?
Yeah. But my stomach sucks.
I've been drinking celery juice lately.
I know. I was going to ask you about this. I'm very proud of you. Celery juice has been said to cure literally everything.
I know it's like the new apple
what if
cider
I just
vinegar.
ate
I want to
Celery,
have it
though.
every day, but you know me. I've been buying it at Creation for $5.
I don't think you can do that.
But how much is your juice maker,
I don't know. I
Ashley?
got
It's
it off my registry.
Exactly. It's
But
a
I tell you
bajillion
this.
dollars.
No.
You
So-
can make carrot juice with it too.
No, Naz. You can make any juice. I've been making like the kale and green apple
know,
juice, and I think it's an unworthy investment. I think it really is.
Ashley, it's not
No,
even
my
that.
juicer was like 170 on my registry. I think I was
amount-
surprised.
The amount of money produce costs in general.
It is
too.
very dumb as well, but that's why they charge so much when you go to Earth Bar and get
But
them.
you're not making like the entire 16-ounce bottle that I'm getting
No,
at Creation.
you're supposed to have
making
16 ounces. I make like maybe half the water bottle.
Yeah, because how many celery stalks?
Because
does
that would be
take?
like an actual celery bundle to make an entire 16
It's
ounces.
too much energy. Who has the time and energy for that?
It's a lot of time too, because when I wake up, you're supposed to have it on an empty stomach when you wake
Yeah.
up, and when I wake up, then I have to go to the juicer and
I'm
start
so
making.
proud of you. I've been doing it too, but I've been buying it because, apparently it's really good for digestion
You guys-
and blow. It's great if you have
Are we
eczema, by
boring,
the way.
Lauren?
No, I don't think you're that boring, but I think you're a little boring.
No,
but
yeah,
I'm giving
Kim
you. If
drinks
you,
it for her psoriasis.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it helps people. I just said it helps people with eczema,
Acne.
Actually, you know what I was just reading on? You guys should follow Medical Medium on Instagram. That celery juice also helps people with migraines. Which my friend had
Wow.
migraines, and that was like prolific.
But can you get
for
the
her.
same stuff from just eating a thing
No.
of celery? No?
I don't think so.
Because I like the
Why?
crunchy celery.
It's the same shit. Why not?
I don't know. You should definitely look that up.
Okay, and
how
also-
many times
That's
during a
an I don't
podcast do
get
we
it.
say you should look it up? Well, actually, the juicing takes away the fiber, which is why I prefer to juice than eat my vegetables. Which, yes, I know it's a very important fiber that I'm missing out on, but I digest it so much better. I get super bloated from produce normally, but when I juice, I don't get bloated at all.
Interesting.
You can save money on produce by getting imperfect produce shipped to you.
Yeah. So, what are those companies? Because I've watched a bajillion documentaries,
Oh, really?
and I'd like to start buying maybe dented tomatoes.
Oh
for a
yeah,
little
it looks
cheaper.
weird, but it's
For
technically
juicing,
super
it's
healthy.
perfect
Yeah.
too. And it's good for the environment.
Is it United Fruit Company? It's Imperfect Produce? So there are many different places. Just typed in Imperfect Produce online and you can find a place by you.
Sometimes, like, I feel sad for, like, you know, those
Imperfect
avocados.
produce.
Yeah, like,
you personify the avocado.
I'm a part of the problem. I pick them up and I'm like, I'm not going to buy this one. This one's not perfect.
Yeah.
And I put it down.
And then he sits there and
I
he
leave
rots,
and I'm like,
and then he dies.
Yeah, no one buys him.
Did we talk about the little toaster ever?
What?
The Brave Little Toaster.
Wait, I love the Brave Little Toaster movie.
Talk
Guys,
about
I've
personifying things
cried.
and
The
just feeling so much.
Cry.
The blankie.
The
Lampy.
lamp. Lauren almost bought a lamp the other day at Habitat for Humanity, which is our new thrifty furniture store. And she almost bought the
Habitat
lamp.
for Humanity is a charity.
No, it's in LA. They have Habitat for Humanity thrift stores.
So you
where they
donate-
have
you'll
all
donate
the
their
furniture.
And you buy
Where
it.
is this? Why have you
It's
guys
on La
told me
Brea.
about this?
Lizzie told me
You can
about
buy
it.
a dining room table for $40 and it's stunning. Stunning.
I
It's
need
so
to go.
wacky. Like, that's where I got the armoire, and it was only there for a day. No wonder why I was the one to get it.
I feel like that
days.
armoire is going to come to life and start
know.
dressing us.
I know. How awesome would she be? What was her name?
What was her name?
I don't even know she
Dresser.
had
Weren't those the names?
The armoire in Beauty and the Beast, guys, we're talking about. Lauren, again, gonna look it up. Can't believe how many times we have to look things up on this podcast.
I can because it's called the I Don't Get It podcast.
Yeah.
So we don't fucking know
You're
anything.
right. You're right. How it would not be very
We need to hire
brand.
someone to just sit next to us at the computer and be
Google
like,
it.
It's Wardrobe. Her name is Wardrobe.
Her name was
instead of, you know how they have like Alexa and Google Home and stuff? We
Yeah.
should be like, hey, I don't get it. Like,
Yeah.
we should just come up with
I
our
don't
own
get it.
piece
What
of
is this? That'd be
technology.
great. Yeah. I guess that
Yeah.
is Alexa, huh? Is that Alexa?
It's
Yeah.
Alexa and Google Home, and Facebook's coming out with their own called Marvis.
Jarvis.
Remember Ask Jeeves?
Yeah.
I
Oh
loved
my god.
that.
How many
He was
times?
kind of cute.
He looked like a president. He looked like he could have been American
Oh,
Dad.
see, to me, I interpreted him as more of a Bruce Wayne in my head.
Oh, well, that would make sense.
He was a butler.
Oh, now I remember what he
Ask
looks
Jeeves.
like.
Yeah.
He wasn't a president.
He's probably gay.
Ask Jeeves.
That's like one of the cartoon characters that they would now tell you after all
Hey,
these years.
I don't
is
get
gay.
it. Is Ask Jeeves gay? Wait, will you go on Ask Jeeves, Lauren? And
I'm
I'm
not
sure
sure
it doesn't
exists
exist,
anymore.
but let's
100%
see.
it still exists. It's the internet. AskJeeves.com and then ask him.
Are you gay?
Yeah.
How
Okay.
many
Is Jeeves gay?
How many questions would we ask him that were just unreal, like teenage questions, and then he'd be like, "I don't know."
It does not answer that question.
Yeah, okay, well.
Oh, Ask Jeeves is no longer on there.
It's just ask.com.
Why'd they get
Wow,
rid of
that's
Jeeves?
lame.
That's sad.
I vaguely remember when
I
they
can
got rid
hear
of
my
him.
AOL door swinging open.
God, that episode of Pen 15
Yeah.
is so well written.
Okay, so what I was going to tell you guys at the beginning of the podcast when I said I have two, I don't get it. I think we may have already talked about this, about like my dad having certain people he wants certain people come to the wedding. Did I talk about this?
No, but you talked about how happy you are that certain people.
Oh no, I meant like on a
RSVP'd that they're
previous
going.
podcast.
Oh, I don't think so.
Really?
Not about your wedding.
Well, I didn't talk about my grandma requesting certain people.
No.
Oh, really? Not on the podcast?
Did she? Was that Almost Famous, maybe?
No, I didn't talk
Just
about
talk
it.
about it then.
Lauren.
I just want to make sure I'm not
Sorry.
repeating myself.
She just wants to make sure she's not repeating herself.
Okay. Anyway, about like 6 weeks ago, my grandma called me and she was like, "So I have a few requests for the wedding." And I was like, what? And I was super nice on the phone, but then like I called my mom. I was like, "Mom," blah, blah, blah. She wanted me to invite my dad's cousins, who one I have met twice in my life.
Oh, hell no.
One I have met once in my life, and the other one my mom hasn't even met, and my
Why?
dad hasn't seen since the age of 23.
Why?
I don't.
Why?
Because they're her family.
I think just send the invites and they won't come and it'll make everyone
I think
happy.
two of them
okay?
are going to come. And it's just like really, it makes me feel weird. I don't know why it makes me feel so weird. And of course, I'm going to let my dad invite them but then he was like, I said, "Dad, you don't really have a relationship with them." And then he was like,
Flipped on you.
he goes, "Of course I certainly do." And he goes,
Oh, your
That made
dad,
me
Dr. J,
sad.
would say that.
one of them, he said,
Now
he goes, he
I'm
went
sad
to
about
my
my
medical
dad.
school graduation. I was like, "Dad, that was 31 years ago."
you know how we went on the cruise with my mom's family?
Yeah.
So like my mom's always had like this big family, and I've always kind of felt bad for my dad because my dad didn't have like a big family, and my dad's dad, who's Egyptian, who's now passed. I'm being very confusing. His stepdad raised him, so I had like 2 grandpas essentially, but his OG dad,
his birth dad
had like other kids and stuff, and so my dad has like kind of siblings out there that we've like never met, and like you sharing your story made me think like if I got married, if my dad was like, would you invite them? And like I don't know, it made me kind of sad because that is a moment for them to actually come out and like be with him.
I think it's also like I guess it's just
do you know
moment.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because like why else? I don't know.
There's not another reason to see the person if it's not for your daughter's wedding.
But then that's kind of weird too. It's like, well, if you really want to like catch up,
that's what I mean. That's why I feel like it was weird. I think I just would feel awkward if I was attending somebody's wedding who I've only met twice. Isn't that wacky? I'm not even considering the cousin that my mom hasn't even met because my dad hasn't seen her since his 20s. Because my dad even said that is a bit ridiculous. But the other two,
I just like, I really, my heart goes out to like all the brides out there who have to like accommodate all these different people that aren't them, and it's like this is about you and Jared. I don't know. I think that's why having big weddings really scare me.
Well, I think that's what another thing here is
it's
because
such a con to having a big wedding. It's like all these people take control. There's so many opinions.
Yeah,
it makes me. I was like the girl growing up, just like you, Ashley. I was like, I'm gonna have a Cinderella ball, and now I'm like, I'm gonna be Britney Spears. Everyone's gonna be in velour outfits, and we're gonna do it in my backyard, the backyard of my mansion. There's gonna be 20
hilarious.
of us.
Yes.
Okay, so but
suits.
you just touched on something that also made me feel weird about extending an invitation to somebody that I have only met twice in my life. It is not a gigantic wedding. You know what I mean? Like it's 185 max.
That's a big wedding, Ashley.
You think so? I think that's
a big wedding.
I think that's large to mid-size.
I think America considers it mid-size, but
it's size 8.
I think let's like take a step down, come back down to earth. 200 people is a big event. How many tables is that? Like 27?
No.
How many tables?
I think it's like 14.
That's a lot of tables.
Yeah. Like 11 people at each table.
But don't you think of like foreign weddings having even more people, like bigger families? I think American weddings are probably smaller than any other culture's weddings.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Like Indian weddings.
All I'm saying is I'm not having like one of those 200, like in 20
50,
plus weddings, in which I could see it getting out of hand and be like, well, if you're going to invite that person, you got to invite this person. But this is like a relatively intimate group. I have best friends who I were best friends with in college that are not invited. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm,
so how could I possibly not invite her, but I would invite the cousin of my dad's who I've met twice in my life?
Right.
That's the only thing. It's like, if you're going to argue, I know he's paying for part of it, so I can't really argue it. I'm going to give him the invite, but it is just like, it is a little different. Yeah. It's just my dad and I we butted heads today about it. That's why I thought I'd share.
Yeah. That's hard.
Because I'd like the other people's feedback on it, because I feel like it's a very common issue.
You're definitely between a rock and a hard place, because if someone's paying for some of it,
you gotta let them do whatever you want, whatever they want.
Yeah.
That's it. Bottom line.
I feel,
do what dad wants.
No, I know I'm going to.
But it does suck because of what you were saying when you said you were getting the RSVPs, you were looking at the list and you were getting excited. There is something really special about like just every single person in a room being someone that you. Yeah.
I think that's why I also feel like a little off from it. It's like, oh, like I'm so excited that like all of these people are coming. And yes, we've had no's. We've had 10 no's. Some of them were +1, like somebody like husbands and wives. And I'm like, oh, great. I mean, great. Those are the kinds of +1s you want to be eliminated.
Yeah.
But I feel like, oh, and then there's like that person. I'm already going to have so many people that I don't know from Jared's side.
Yeah.
So I guess I might as well throw in 2 more.
You'll get to know them there. Like, that's awesome.
Sort of. Do you really get to know them there?
Absolutely. I think you're the type of person that'll like, people will be around you and you'll be excited. You'll be excited to get to know part of Jared's family you don't know.
Isn't that funny that there's, when it's your own wedding, that there's still going to be like maybe a fourth that you've really never met?
Wait, what?
There's going to be a fourth of the people there I've never met.
Oh, a fourth of the people there. That's crazy. Lauren's so over this comment.
I'm over it just because.
Why? Because you guys talk about wedding all the time.
I talk about wedding all the time, and
I'm
also
fascinated by it. I never get to talk to
it's
Ashley about
more
this
of the
stuff.
fact that we have Indian food waiting, and I have to go somewhere in about 45 minutes. I want to enjoy eating with you.
You're not. You're watching Kardashians with us.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Wait, subscribe, follow I Don't Get It podcast on Instagram,
Yeah, I Don't Get It
and join the
podcast on
Facebook
Instagram.
group. Okay, we love you.
Love you. Bye.
Podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Wave Podcast Network. Check out all of our shows, including the Brain Candy Podcast, I Don't Get It, Coffee Convos, and Let's Talk About It.